Welcome to the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Masonry while drinking an old fashioned. I'm Brian.
And I'm Russ.
This is going to be a little bit of a different twist today. We are going to be talking about the constitutional and bylaw proposed changes that will be considered at the 167th Annual Communication of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons of Kansas.
Woohoo!
I'm dehydrated after all of that. So, all Kansas Masons would have received this notice in mid-December from Most Worshipful Tracy Bloom, who's our Grand Secretary. Mm-hmm. And so feel free if you want to follow along. If not, we're going to highlight some things. We're certainly not going to read this word for word, only because it's very dry and my vocabulary is limited. So we're just going to kind of talk about a few things. We're not going to get too deep in the weeds on a lot of them because they're pretty common sense, as some bylaw proposals should be. So, Russ, I think we're going to jump right into the first one that's proposed by Most Worshipful Michael J Stoops, who was a past master of DeSoto Lodge number 40, and what's that, Palmyra Lodge number 23?
Yeah.
Palmyra Lodge number 20. Mike, I don't know where that's at, but also he was our Grand Master in 2021 and 2022.
Correct.
So, when we first read this,
yes.
Full disclosure, when we first read this, let me go with me. I'm not going to say we. I thought, I think I understand the essence of this, but it felt like a little bit of an attack on dependent bodies.
Yes.
Initially. What was your thought?
When I read it initially, it felt a little heavy-handed with the appendant bodies. That's when I read it the first time.
I did too. So I intentionally, when I read the bylaw proposals initially, I'll read through them like, okay, then I'll go to see who proposed it, because I don't want the tone to be, because if I put a bylaw proposal out, my tone is pretty heavy-handed in general. So now, I will tell you,
I've never noticed that.
First jab of the day for the record. So I've communicated with Most Worshipful Stoops. I'm a fan of Mike. I think he's a good guy. I understand nearly everything when he was a sitting Grand Master that he was trying to accomplish. A lot of cleaning up. And so I think when he was Grand Master, maybe a lot of his stuff was misunderstood because a lot of people didn't maybe have the really luxury to sit down with them several times for dinner and different things like that.
So briefly, the best that you can, just describe sort of what you think that this is.
After speaking with Most Worshipful, and what I believe it is this. Kansas Masons, I'm only talking to Kansas Masons, so if you're watching and you're not a Kansas Mason, just bear with us. Maybe this is going on in your jurisdiction. As Kansas Masons, for some reason, every time we try to do a per capita increase, which, dang it, guys, we need to get the increase going. We got to run a business. It just keeps getting shot down and shot. We're talking over $3 a year. Not a day, not a month, $3 stinking a year. And so before I go into this, if you don't think that Masonry is worth $3 a year, I don't even know why we're paying our dues. It's right. Absolutely. Russ made a comment earlier. We drink a cocktail when we're filming these. We have consumed in all of our episodes probably more
dollars of
values of alcohol than several years of per capita. And that's just us. But guys, $3 a year. So here's my understanding of what Most Worshipful Stoops is asking. Guys, we've got all of these issues with finances, and we're asking for a $3 increase. So, but if you're not going to do that, we're simply saying this. Any other appendant body, whether it be Scottish Rite, York Rite Shrine, 12 High, any of the other groups out there, there's 100 of them, the per capita there cannot be any higher than what the Grand Lodge of Kansas per capita is if you're sending even a single dollar out of the state. So, for example, if I understand, I can't remember what the per capita is for Shrine. We're life members. I don't know what that number is. But let's just say it's $36. Well, a portion of the proceeds of the per capita that Shriners pay in Kansas, well, probably everywhere, it goes out of state to the Shriners Hospitals for Children. Hey, it's a great philanthropy, and I don't think Most Forceful Stoops is saying it's a bad philanthropy. All he's saying is this: if the per capita is more than our per capita in the state of Kansas and any other appendant body, and it's going out of state, this is what this bylaw is saying, that you can't have your per capita can't be higher than that.
Right.
Now, here's what I believe. I don't believe this is going to pass. This is just my belief. However, listen to the essence of what he's asking.
Yes.
Guys, if you're going to be in other appendant bodies and you're okay with their per capita being higher than the Grand Lodge, and now all that money's not staying in the state like the Grand Lodge of Kansas is, you need to be voting for the proposal for the bylaw change to raise the per capita. We're proposing, we're going to talk about this later, to go to an entire massive $35 a year, brothers. $35 a year. I can't even believe we're talking about this. Right. It's so silly that we can't get the bylaws. So that is the first one that's out of the gates.
Yeah.
Fair?
And I think to address this, I am very much a less is more. This is a bylaw that I believe is trying to send a message. I wouldn't vote for this because I don't believe that that's really where the Grand Lodge needs to be. But it is a message of, as Masons in Kansas, we need to do the right thing. I truly believe that our Grand Lodge officers of today are worrying about the budget, handling expenses, doing things appropriately.
Yeah.
And when they're saying we need to do something different, we have really tarnished our brand, and really over the last 30, 40 years, we haven't done a very good job of funding ourselves very well. Fair. And so that's the message I think he's trying to say.
Yeah. Think about what we're doing. So I like what you're saying in here, Michael J Stoops. It's going to be interesting how it goes. The next thing we're talking about is a simple change. It's in our Grand Lodge per capita in the special assessment. Essentially, right now we have 50 cents of our per capita that goes to the George Washington Masonic National Memorial. The proposal on this is to change it from 50 cents to $1.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have not been to the George Washington Masonic National Memorial, you should make sure that's on your bucket list, because it is. I had a friend with me. We had gone to Mount Vernon as well as stopping here because it's in Alexandria, Virginia. And that friend said, I learned more about George Washington at the Masonic Memorial than I did at Mount Vernon. It's nice. A very cool place. So
this was put up by Most Forceful Tracy L. Bloom, past master of Salina number 60, and Clay Center Lodge number 134. He is also a past Grand Master of Kansas. Now, let me be the opponent. And this is the only reason I'm going to be an opponent of this, is because of our next bylaw.
Okay.
There was not a lot of communication here. So what this bylaw is asking is for us to go from 50 cents to $1. If the next bylaw wasn't here, Tracy Bloom, I'm all about it. I think it's great. I like it, and Russ convinced me even more. However, if we vote yes on this and change this to $1, from 50 cents to $1, we're going to have some contradiction in the next bylaw.
Right.
Which shouldn't be, because common sense has to prevail. So let's talk about what it's going to be and then get into it, unless you want to go a different direction first.
Yeah, no, I don't need to go a different direction. Just, it's parliamentary procedure, and neither of us are parliamentarians. So how do we handle this, and how gracefully do we handle this within Grand Lodge?
Right.
And what's the procedure? And,
right.
And I don't know that.
Right, I don't know either. So think this through. So this next proposal is presented by Most Worshipful Cole Presley, past Grand Master of Kansas, past Master of Millbrook Lodge, number 281, and Justice Lodge and Affinity Lodge, number 457, and the current Grand Treasurer. So basically, here's what Most Worshipful Presley's asking. To change our per capita from $30 to $35. I'm sorry, I said $3 earlier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But it's $35. I misspoke. So I could understand how you guys wouldn't think Masonries are worth $5 a year. Heaven forbid. I mean, I misspoke with $3. I asked you for a whole nother $2 for 24 months. Forgive me on that. So all of that said, you need to be voting for this to go to $35 if you're a Kansas Mason, because damn it, guys, we need to be able to pay some bills. Here's where my contradiction is, though. It never changed anything in there that said that 50 cents from the George Washington Foundation to change to $1. So there was a lack of communication somewhere,
right.
And maybe they thought this one would get voted down, and just in case we do this, they probably could have put 2 bylaw proposals back to back on this.
Right.
So if Tracy Bloom, if what my thought is correct on this, you probably need to pull yours so we can get the per capita increase going through at $35. Guys, it's a no stinking brainer. It probably needs to go up $5 a year for a while. That's just my opinion. Do you have a different opinion on this?
No, I believe it should be a lot more than 35. That's my opinion.
Yes. Okay. And we shall move on. Most Worshipful's rationale, holy hell, that's a novel there.
Yeah, but out of it does, the rationale is good, and it does talk about the reduction in expenses and how they have managed. Mm-hmm. But
this has been a really tight group of I'm going to take it, if I'm leaving somebody off, it's not a knock. I'm going to take it all the way back to probably Kellerman. I think it's been really tight since Kellerman moving forward.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of guys that were business guys there. I mean, they just really, they got all of the BS out of the way and put their head down, so I loved it. The next one, it's under Article 4 Communications 3-421. So essentially, they're wanting to remove a word. So documentary evidence shall be a diploma, receipts for dues under the seal of the Grand Lodge certificate, written endorsement by the Grand Master, certificate of demission, struck through, added good standing, or electronic verification added, approved by the Grand Lodge. So essentially, this is about
housekeeping.
This is a housekeeping. Guys, vote for this. It's a no-brainer. Okay. Article 4 Communications 3-422. This is pertaining to the clothing of officers and brethren at the lodge communication. Russ, I'm going to let you start on this. I think we have the same opinion. This is put forth by Right Worshipful James Lyles, a past master of Caledonia Lodge. I think he's a district deputy right now.
Yeah. I'm very much a less is more. Let's not put more rules in than need to be to govern. And so,
what do you think he's asking? I have an opinion of what I think he's asking.
So I believe that as if you hold a Grand Lodge office of some kind, whether it's a district deputy, area deputy, or any of the
and you get
appointments,
your blingy bling.
Yep, and you have your blingy bling.
Flavor Flav's Masonic necklace.
This is basically saying that if you are a Grand Lodge officer, you can, and an officer of the lodge, that you can wear this instead of your jewel of your office. The way I'm reading it, I believe if you are an officer of a Masonic lodge, you wear the appropriate jewel.
That's given in your charge. You're given the jewel of your office.
And no more, no less. I believe less is more than more. So now, if you're a district deputy and this is an official visit,
right,
that's completely different. But just because you're a district deputy and you show up at your home lodge, it's your home lodge. Yeah. Relax a little bit, and
especially if you're an officer.
If you're an officer, you are an officer of that lodge, and just wear that.
You made a great point, though.
So we have a past Grand Master in our lodge, and sometimes he will wear his past master's apron. But most of the time, he comes and
not past Grandmaster apron, past Master apron, not Grandmaster.
Yeah, he will wear
the white apron.
The white apron.
So I agree with Russ on this, Brother Lodge. I know what you're saying. You're saying, hey, I've been appointed on the Grand Lodge, and if I'm Tyler, junior deacon, whatever, I don't want to wear this. I want to wear my bling. I want to wear Flavor Flav's Masonic apron. So we think that takes it farther away from being on the level for us.
Yes. And at the end of the day, I want masters of Masonic lodges to run their lodges.
Right.
And you ask your master.
Yeah, see how they feel about it. But yeah, this doesn't need to be a bylaw proposal.
We don't need any more words within this bylaw.
We agree on this. The next bylaw proposal is in Article 2, Conferral of Degrees 4-211. This is simply a spelling error. Waiver was spelled W-A-V-I-E-R, and they're wanting to change it to waiver. Guys, why in the world do we need a bylaw? Why do we need 2/3 to vote on a spelling? What? Somebody way smarter than us. It doesn't take a lot. Put together a bylaw proposal that says if there's a simple, and I'm going to quote, simple correct of a spelling error.
Right.
Why is this a bylaw proposal? Why can't we just say, hey guys, instead of mail, M-A-I-L, we had M-A-L-E? Because we know we're not going to, if we're meant to mail a document, that doesn't mean we're going to turn somebody into a mail. I mean, what in the world is going on here?
Yeah.
This is the...
We're spending too much time.
This is dumb. So, but yes, it needs to be fixed, but this is not a bylaw proposal.
We also need a way to fix those with that, and I think this is common sense.
Yeah, it's common sense has to prevail. The next one, Article 3, Fees and Dues. Essentially, this pertains to the $5 of the initiation fee that would go to the Kansas Masonic Home. Kansas Masonic Home is no longer a thing. Vote in favor of this, please. This one's a lot of words and noise and strikes and double strikes. And this is Article 4, Membership, Demission, and Transfer, the cross-reference of Constitution, Article 10, Section 4-4110, Occasional Lodges. I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Russ is not a fan of occasional lodges as a whole.
Yeah.
How do you feel about affinity lodges? I'm okay with them.
These are fine.
Okay, fine. He didn't take the bait. So this is essentially saying, if I'm understanding this right, that the affinity lodges, they need to meet 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And one of those needs to be in December to hold an annual communication and an election of officers, and it adds in another officer. Yeah. You know, most worshipful Tracy Bloom submitted it. I trust what you're putting together. I don't know. I'm not an occasional lodge member. Seems like a lot of extra noise. But if you think this is right, brother, I trust you.
Actually, I think it's cleaning up.
It's housekeeping more than anything.
Well, it's basically making sure that occasional lodges truly are functioning as a lodge in general. And yeah, if you're not meeting quarterly, then what are you actually doing? And so I think that even in the rationale, it sort of calls some of them out. So just by meeting quarterly, then it sort of automatically takes some of the other things out. Fair. So I think it's cleaning this up, and it's putting a little teeth behind, hey, do what you're supposed to do as Masons.
I like it. Good proposal, most worshipful Bloom. The next one, Constitution, Article 10, Petitioners. So this is about the ballot and the renewal petition for proficiency. So essentially what they've added in here. Basically, the brother has to exhibit suitable proficiency in the preceding degree to move forward, right? So what they've added here, unless the candidate's degrees are conferred in a one-day conferral. So basically what they're doing, they're saying, we might do one-day classes, but they're saying if we do a one-day, nobody's violating this particular article. So nice cleanup. It makes sense whether we do one-day conferrals or C2A or not. This is common sense. Thank you for putting this together.
And basically, it's a part 1 of 2.
Oh, so that's part 1. I understand part 2 is a non-issue. So... we're going to leave it at that. So otherwise, think this was the driest one ever, but we're going to leave it at this. If you are a voting delegate in any jurisdiction, which in Kansas, it's your elected officers and appointed too? Is it appointed as well?
You've just caught me. I think it was elected officers, but
if you're appointed.
Yeah.
If you are a voting delegate, as past masters, we're voting delegates.
Yes.
We go to Grand Lodge because here's the essence of it. Just like in real life with elections. Don't gripe and complain about elections if you're not going out there and voting. And every voting delegate in the state of Kansas needs to take their rear end to Grand Lodge, at least for the session of voting. Guys, it's a meeting. I understand that, but make your vote known. And one last question. You know where I'm going to take you?
I think so.
Okay. We're going to ask this question. So when I was master, and I talked to one of our lodge officers about this. When I was master, all of our voting officers, everyone could vote if they were an officer, I think. Okay, whoever got to vote. We read the bylaws out in our lodge like you should, okay? And then we got a consensus of the lodge. How the lodge wanted us to vote is how we as officers voted.
Yes.
And my opinion as the city master at the time is they have elected us to speak on their behalf.
Yes.
And so we voted how our lodge wanted. Now, it's not always the case. So let me ask your opinion. What do you think? Do you think that the officers should vote how their lodge wants, or should they vote in what their heart tells them at Grand Lodge?
I believe that if you're in sync with your lodge, that if it's overwhelming, if you take a consensus and it's overwhelming, then you should support your lodge because you are representing them. If it's something where it's almost 50-50 and you're not sure, maybe you should maybe you should then go with your gut. But most of the time, it's going to be a consensus.
Or do you have half your officers vote one way and half go the other way? That's a lot of extra noise.
Yeah, that's more noise.
Yeah, that's a good conversation.
Vote your conscience.
We should ask next time we have past masters on. We should ask past masters about that, what they think, and that's kind of an interesting thing. So, but thank you for watching the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast. Don't forget to like us, forward us, subscribe us, clap at us, snap back, whatever all the kids say today.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care. Thanks.